Peace and Pan-Africanism, peace and Pan-Africanism. The Prince of Pan-Africanism is back. I'm wearing purple in honor of my Scorpio brothers and sisters. We are now in Oya season, the mother of radical transformation and storms, the ending of one cycle to begin the new. I am not a Scorpio, but I have a Scorpio rising. I am not a Scorpio, but I have a Scorpio rising. So I stand in solidarity with all my Scorpio Africans representing the color purple of Orisha Oya, who rules the planet Pluto in the sign of Scorpio. Brothers and sisters, I am back to finish what I started. So I've given you 2 seminars on Black America since Dr. King, from 65 to 70. I've given you 2 seminars. The first one was 65 to 67. The second one was 68 to 70. And now it's time to get into the 1970s. And now it's time to get into the 1970s. Before I get into the 1970s, let me say that I feel good to be an African. I know we have challenges. I know the world is looking down on us, but remember this. I think the Bible says it best, and I'm not a Christian. And of course, everything in the Bible was stolen and copied from my Nile Valley African ancestors anyway. So if I want to quote from it, I can. The first shall be last, and the last shall be first. Never forget that. Never forget that. Even the great prophet Nat Turner, who we will celebrate on Thursday, November the 11th, said it, the first shall be last, and the last shall be first. Brothers and sisters, we're going back to where we belong. African people, under the name of African people, under the banner of the red, black, and green flag of the most honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, we are going back to where we belong. Don't let nobody convince you that you should disconnect from your African DNA. Don't let nobody manipulate you into thinking you are not an African. Don't let anybody come to you and try to suggest even remotely that there's a future without you, without there being a future for the mother continent. For my Chattanooga, Tennessee Africans, for my Tennessee Africans, I'm going to see all of you in 8 days. I will be in Chattanooga, Tennessee in 8 days, Thursday, November 4. Free event, 2 until 8, Chattanooga. You must be in the building. Only my second visit and the first since I keynoted the 2015 Chattanooga, Tennessee Martin Luther King Day. I want all my Tennessee Africans to be in Chattanooga. We will be at 1403 Tunnel Boulevard. 1403 Tunnel Boulevard. 1403 Tunnel Boulevard in Chattanooga, Thursday, November the 4th. Free, no tickets, no registration. Lecture from 2 to 3, Q&A from 3 to 4. Stop in, book sign, and special ed clinic from 4 to 8. Atlanta, I will see you Friday night. Next Friday, Hotlanta, you know how we do. Atlanta, you know how we do. You one of the first 5 cities that Dr.UMAR visited when I took over the global Black consciousness movement on October the 30th of 2010. I'll be celebrating 11 years as kingkongconsciousness on October the 30th. What date is that? I believe that's Saturday. Let me see when I'm having my 11-year anniversary of King of Black Consciousness. Saturday, brothers and sisters. This Saturday, I celebrate 11 years as the undisputed king of global Black consciousness. 11 years, more rings than Tom Brady, more rings than Michael Jordan, more rings than LeBron James. 11 years on top. So Chattanooga, November 4, Atlanta, November the 5th. We are working on Columbus, Georgia, for Saturday, November the 7th. There's a special football classic between 2 HBCUs in Columbus, Georgia. I believe it's Fort Valley State versus another HBCU football team on Saturday, November the 7th. And the brothers are down there trying to work it out so the Prince of Pan-Africanism can come and be there and witness the HBCU classic and meet and greet my brothers and sisters in Columbus, Georgia on Saturday, November the 7th. So we're working with that. Capitol Heights, Maryland, Wednesday, November 10. Capitol Heights, Everlasting Life Cafe. Go to elifepresents.com. Go to elifepresents.com. My Maryland Africans, go to elifepresents.com and get your tickets for 6 to 9 p.m. at eLife Cafe. My first visit there in about 3 weeks. Capitol Heights, Dr. Baruch, one of our foremost naturopathic holistic doctors. If you have a medical issue, go and see Baba Baruch at Everlasting Life Cafe, Capitol Heights, Maryland, 6 to 9 p.m. Wednesday, November the 10th, elifecafe.com. And then Nat Turnerland, 1111. 1111, my 11th consecutive visit, my 10 years of visiting. My 11th consecutive visit on 1111 will be my 11th consecutive visit, brothers and sisters. 821, 8 plus 2 plus 1 is another 11. Perfect synchronicity. It is destiny. Ifatunde, destiny has returned. Go to natturnerlibrary.com. I want to see everybody at Nat Turnerland on Thursday, November the 11th. I want to see everybody at Nat Turnerland on Thursday, November the 11th. Go to natturnerlibrary.com. And then Friday night's main event, Hampton Roads, 7 cities. Friday night's main event, Hampton Roads, 7 cities. We will be at the Kroc Center in Norfolk. We will be at the Kroc Center in Norfolk. Doors at 4, lecture 5 to 7, book signing 7 to 9. Doors at 4 in Norfolk, lecture at 5 in Norfolk, book signing 7 to 9 in Norfolk. This is the first time my book is coming to Chattanooga. First time my book is coming to Capitol Heights. First time my book is coming to Norfolk, Virginia. And then we end the 10-day tour, November 4th to November 14th. We end the 10-day Nat Turner tour, November 4th to November the 14th in Baltimore, Maryland, at the Great Blacks in Wax Museum. Baltimore, Maryland, the Great Blacks in Wax Museum, 1601 East North Avenue, 2 until 8. Chattanooga and Baltimore, same time. Chattanooga and Baltimore, same time. 2 to 8, 2 to 4, lecture Q&A, 4 to 8, drop-in book signing. Atlanta and Capitol Heights, same time. Atlanta and Capitol Heights, same time. 6 to 9, doors at 5. 6 to 9, doors at 5. Norfolk, Virginia, doors at 4. If you need the flyer for the Nat Turner Tour, 6 states, 8 cities, 1 Pan-Africanist. 6 states, 8 cities, 1 Pan-Africanist. You can text me 215-989-9858, 215-989-9858. All my African queens of the Ifatunde Queendom, come and give me my hugs. I need the energy of the African woman to put up with all these coons. I need the energy of the African woman to put up with all these YouTubians. I need the energy of the African woman to put up with all these detractors and haters and beta males and booty bandits. Please, African women, give me my hugs in Chattanooga. Give me my hugs in Atlanta. Give me my hugs in Columbus. Give me my hugs in Capitol Heights, Maryland. Give me my hugs in Nat Turnerland. Give me my hugs in Norfolk. Give me my hugs in Baltimore. Albany, New York, Saturday the 13th may not be happening. Albany, New York, Saturday the 13th may not be happening. I might plug Richmond in on the 13th. I might plug Richmond in on the 13th. I might be plugging Gabriel Prosserland in on the 13th of November. It is the Nat Turner Tour. 6 states, 8 cities, 1 Pan-Africanist. Let's get into the 1970s. As always, hit the Cash App. Let's get into the 1970s. Let's get into the 1970s. The reason I'm doing this is many of our people are politically uneducated. The reason I'm doing this, many of our people are politically uneducated. We know everything about Kemet, but you don't know everything about the 60s. You know everything about the great kingdoms of Africa, but you know nothing about the 80s and the 90s and the key decisions that the white power structure made to disenfranchise African people. That is why I'm doing this, brothers and sisters. Political education class from the greatest political scientist in American history. So, on January the 15th of 1970, the Nigerian Civil War ends. 1 million, mostly Igbo, from southeastern region are murdered, considered by many to be a genocide. The Nigerian Civil War ends on January the 15th, 1970. 1 million Nigerian Africans are dead. I want to say this to my Nigerian Africans one time. I want to say this to my Nigerian Africans one time. I want to speak to my Nigerian Africans because my ancestry is partly from Nigeria. I want to speak to my Nigerian Africans. I want to talk to my Igbo family one time. I want to talk to my Yoruba family one time. I practice Yoruba spirituality. I want to talk to my Mandingo and my Hausa family one time. Nigeria, we got to work it out. Nigeria, we got to work it out. Even now, when I go to Nigeria, I can feel the tension. I can feel the tension between the Yoruba family and the Igbo family. There's a lot of pain in there. Can we work it out for the cause of African liberation? Can the Yoruba family and the Igbo family join hands as one strong, mighty Nigerian African family? Can the Hausa and the Yoruba and the Igbo put the past behind them and build a bigger future? Because we can't have a strong Africa without a united Nigeria. There could be no African liberation without a strong Nigeria. Nigeria is the heart and soul because Nigerians have that revolutionary spirit. We need Nigeria in order to liberate Africa. We need all the countries, but Nigeria must play a role. You have one of the largest sources of untapped mineral wealth. We need the Nigerians to work it out. I'm willing to come and play peacekeeper in the land of my ancestors. I'm willing to come and play peacekeeper in the land of my ancestors. I got Yoruba blood. I got Igbo blood. I got Asante blood. I got all kind of blood. I got Mandingo blood. I got all kind of blood running through the veins of the Prince of Pan-Africanism. I'm willing to come to Nigeria and work it out. Yoruba and Igbo, we must sit down at the table of African brotherhood. There is no Yoruba skeleton. There is no Igbo skeleton. There is no Yoruba blood. There is no Igbo blood. There is African blood. When they dig up the skull of an African, they can't tell if it's Yoruba. They can't tell if it's Igbo. They can't tell if it's Zulu. They can't tell if it's Xhosa. They can't tell if it's Mandingo. They can't tell if it's Kikuyu. They can't tell if it's Wolof. All they see is an African. Let us work it out. Nigerian Civil War has been over since 1970. That's 80, 90, 2000, 10, 20, 51 years. It'll be 52 years of peace in 2022. I want to have an event amongst Nigerian Africans where we talk about the Yoruba-Igbo divide. Can we do that, Nigerian Africans in the United States? Can we do that, Nigerian Africans in the United States? Can we have a town hall between the Nigerian Igbo and the Nigerian Yoruba, and Dr. will facilitate a conversation of respect, a conversation of respect. A conversation of respect. Let's move on. January the 17th, Clifton Wharton Jr. becomes the first black president of a predominantly white institution, Michigan State University. On January the 17th, 1970, Clifton Wharton Jr. becomes the first black president of a predominantly white college, Michigan State. Remember, brothers and sisters, tokenism will be a major theme of the 1970s. Tokenism will be a major theme of the 1970s. Tokenism will be a major theme. You're going to notice all these black tokens being put in places of prestige to distract away from the fact that the government is marginalizing American Africans. Pay attention to the tokenism. Whenever you see a new token, whenever you see a new black penny amongst the white dollar bills, whenever you see a new black penny amongst the white dollar bills, whenever you see a new token, you know that they are distracting from something. See, Obama was the token that distracted from the Rainbow Nation takeover. Hussein Insane Obama was the token that distracted away from the Rainbow Nation takeover, the feminist takeover. Yes, whenever you see a black face in a high place, you are being distracted away from something. They made Thurgood Marshall the first black Supreme Court justice right after the long, hot summers of 1967. Thurgood Marshall, and I respect him, I'm not knocking him, but when they made him a Supreme Court justice, that was to distract away from the fact that they were not going to do anything to address the causes of the rebellions of 67 and 68. So you got black folks becoming presidents of PWIs. You got black folks becoming presidents of PWIs. Tokenism. Tokenism in place of addressing racism. February 18th, 1970, the Chicago Seven, including Bobby Seale, are acquitted of charges that they planned to incite a riot, but Bobby Seale is not released until 1972 due to contempt charges. They had our elder Bobby Seale gagged and bound in the courtroom. I said they had our brother Bobby Seale gagged and bound in the courtroom because Bobby Seale was unapologetically African. He would not shut up. He would not obey the process of jurisprudence. Bobby Seale said, "You are not going to lock me up with my participation." Shout out to Bobby Seale, who is still amongst the living. He is still out there teaching and educating and raising the consciousness of African people. Got me some new incense. April 17th to April 19th, 1970, the Bilderberg meeting is held in Switzerland. May 4th, 1970, the Ohio National Guard fires on anti-war demonstrators at Kent State University, killing 4 people. May the 4th, 1970, the Ohio National Guard fired on anti-war demonstrators at Kent State University, killing 4. May of 1970, the first issue of Essence magazine is released. And on August of 1970, the first issue of Black Enterprise is released. Tokenism, tokenism, tokenism. Now, I'm not attacking Essence or Black Enterprise. I'm not attacking Essence or Black Enterprise. What I am saying is you see all of this superficial progress with no real systemic progress. First black president of a white university. Black magazine Essence. Black magazine Black Enterprise. But what are you doing about the economic and political reality of African people? And let me say this about Essence, Ebony, Black Enterprise. Let me say this about Essence, Ebony, Black Enterprise. You all be doing articles on me whenever there's some disrespectful, unnecessary issue to address. Why are national black magazines only covering DR.UMAR's work when there's some nonsense involved? Y'all will cover a fake wedding. Y'all will cover a beef with a YouTubian. Y'all will cover COINTELPRO. Y'all will do an article on irrelevant things. But you have never done an article on me and how I've saved more black boys than any psychologist in American history. You've never done an article on me of how I've empowered and educated more black parents towards saving their children from school to prison pipeline than any black person in the history of this country. You ain't done no article on me on how I educated our community about the evils of psychiatric medication and ADHD being a hustle and conduct disorder being a scam. Where are the articles on that? Where is the articles on the fact that I've raised more consciousness than any African living on the planet? Where's the articles on the fact that I'm the most requested scholar in the world? Where's the articles on the fact that I'm the only one of my generation building a major institution to serve the community? No articles on that in Black Enterprise. No articles on that in Essence. No articles on that in Atlanta Black Star. I'm calling y'all out to Atlanta Black Star, because for you to be named after the most honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, I take issue with the fact the only time I'm in that paper is when you're reporting nonsense, but you ain't did no article on the fact I'm the reason people know who the most honorable Marcus Garvey is. I brought back Garveyism, not you. I did it. Let's get back to the messages. On June the 28th, 1970, the first major gay liberation day March is held in New York City. June 28th, 1970, the first major gay liberation day march, Rainbow Nation, held in New York City. So you see Dr. King is murdered and all these other so-called minorities swoop in to exploit the black civil rights movement for personal gain. Dr. King is murdered. In less than 2 years, his body is not even resting yet, and the Rainbow Nation swoops in to exploit the black civil rights struggle for personal gain. August the 7th of 1970, 17-year-old Jonathan Jackson, ancestor Jonathan Jackson, 17 years old, younger brother of Soledad brother George Jackson, and a bodyguard for Angela Davis, takes 3 concealed guns into a courtroom, assisted by 3 comrades, and he took the judge, the deputy district attorney, and 3 jurors hostage with an intent to go to the radio station and demand the release of the Soledad brothers, including his big brother, George Jackson. He was shot and murdered inside the van along with 2 of his comrades. He was only 17 years old. Jonathan Jackson was martyred in Leo season. Jonathan Jackson was 17 years old, and he went into a courtroom armed at 17 and took the judge, the DA, and the jurors hostage to demand the freedom of his brother and the Soledad brothers. He wasn't on YouTube making videos all day. That's right. He walked in the courtroom, took the judge and the DA and the jurors hostage. August the 7th, 1970. Rest in peace, Jonathan Jackson. Rest in paradise, Jonathan Jackson. Rest with the ancestors, Jonathan Jackson. August of 1970. The weapons used by Jonathan Jackson were registered to Angela Davis, who immediately went underground for 2 months before being arrested in New York City in October of 1970. After a year in jail, she would be acquitted of murder, kidnapping, and conspiracy in 1972. I stand in solidarity with the young Angela Davis. I stand in solidarity with the young Angela Davis. I stand in solidarity with the young Angela Davis. That's right. Those were her weapons that Jonathan Jackson took into the prison to liberate his brother. Those was Angela Davis's weapons that Jonathan Jackson took into the prison to liberate his brother. And Angela Davis never turned him in. She never turned him in because Jonathan was Angela's bodyguard. Jonathan Jackson was Angela's bodyguard at 17. Imagine 17-year-old brothers defending our revolutionary sisters. Imagine having 17-year-old brothers defending our revolutionary sisters. She went underground, went to jail, and was acquitted in 1972. Much respect to Angela Davis. I don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. I might take issues with some of the things you do and say now, but you as a young sister, you is no doubt a hero of the Black liberation era. October the 15th, 1970, Anwar Sadat, the third president of an independent Egypt whose mother was a Black Sudanese, was assassinated. October the 15th, 1970, Anwar Sadat, third president of Egypt, whose mother was a Black Sudanese, was assassinated. And according to the late great master teacher Ivan Van Sertima, it was President Anwar Sadat of Egypt who said, "I'm the first Black pharaoh in 5,000 years." Anwar Sadat said, "I'm the first Black pharaoh in 5,000 years." Anwar Sadat, the third president of an independent Egypt, said, "I am the first pharaoh of Egypt, Black pharaoh, in 5,000 years. Also in 1970, while his induction refusal case was on appeal, Muhammad Ali was able to get a boxing license in Georgia, as it was the only state without a boxing commission. Muhammad Ali would fight Jerry Quarry and win after 3 rounds. Also in 1970, 200,000 prisoners in the United States would swell to 2 million by 2020. There were only 200,000 prisoners in America in 1970. Mass incarceration is the new slavery. There were only 200,000 prisoners in America in 1970. Here we are 52 years later, and we now have 2 million. How did we go from 200,000 in 1970 to 2 million in the year 2020? And America incarcerates the largest population of prisoners in the entire world. America incarcerates the largest population of prisoners in the entire world. 1970, Rainbow Nation disrupts the American Psychological Association convention in San Francisco. It was a takeover. If you heard my podcast season 1, I broke this down. I'm not going to go into it. But in 1970, the Rainbow Nation disrupted the American Psychological Association convention in San Francisco. That's right. And y'all know what happened a few years later. They declassified same-sex relations as a mental illness. I'm the reason you know that it was a mental illness. Let me say that again. I'm the reason you know that same-sex relationships was considered a mental illness in the United States until 1973. 1970, Aretha Franklin publicly told Jet magazine she was going to use the money Black people gave her to set Angela Davis free. Rest in peace, Aretha Franklin. Great job, Jennifer Hudson. Rest in peace, Aretha Franklin. Great job, Jennifer Hudson. Rest in peace, Aretha Franklin. Great job, Jennifer Hudson. Aretha Franklin told Jet magazine, "I'm going to use the money that Black people gave, making me rich, and I'm going to set Angela Davis free." Why we don't hear Black rappers talking like that? Why we don't hear Black singers talking like that today? Aretha Franklin in 1970 stood up and said, "I'm going to use the money that Black people use to buy my records, and I'm going to set Angela Davis free." That's right, brothers and sisters. She offered to pay Angela Davis's bail, but Angela Davis was ineligible. Aretha Franklin offered to pay Angela Davis's bail. This is after Angela Davis was underground for a year. This was after Angela Davis was underground for a year. Queen Mother Aretha Franklin was going to pay her bail, but she was not eligible. Also in 1970, Josephine Hostin of Grenada becomes the first black woman to win the Miss World pageant. Here we go with more tokens. Pay attention to the tokens. Pay attention to the tokens. Josephine Hostin of Grenada, first black woman to win Miss World pageant. We salute her. She's probably an ancestor now. We salute her. But this is tokenism. Pay attention to all the tokens that they give us in the 70s while they do nothing about the systemic injustice. January 25th, 1971, Charles Manson is found guilty of first-degree murder for the home invasion killings. Some people believe that the Manson killings were a CIA operation. March the 8th, 1971, a historical breakthrough on illegal FBI activity took place right outside of Philadelphia. Y'all want to listen to this? Y'all want to listen to this? March 8th, 1971, a historical breakthrough on illegal FBI activity took place when a group calling themselves the Citizens Commission to investigate the FBI, 8 white anti-war activists led by a Philadelphia professor broke into an FBI office in Media, Pennsylvania, uncovering a 1956 letter to the good Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King threatening to expose his infidelities against Coretta if he did not commit suicide. The documents included a strange word, COINTELPRO. The documents that these 8 anti-war activists found in the FBI office in Media, PA, when they broke in on March the 8th, 1971, had a letter to Dr. King threatening to expose his infidelities against Coretta if he did not commit suicide. And the documents had a word, COINTELPRO, which we will find out later was the counterintelligence program. Pennsylvania Africans, that happened in Pennsylvania. That's right. Pennsylvania is the reason the world knows about COINTELPRO. I said Pennsylvania, right outside of Philly in Media, PA, is where COINTELPRO was exposed. August the 20th of 1971, the Supreme Court rules busing can be used to integrate the schools. Now pay attention to something. I need y'all to pay attention to something. I need y'all to pay attention. Supreme Court rules busing can be used to integrate the schools on April the 20th of 1971. Now, do you understand why we get special ed in 1975? Now, do you understand why we get special ed in 1975? Supreme Court says busing can be used to integrate the schools. So now do you understand why special education was created in 1975 to resegregate black children from white children? I'm the first to teach you that. No psychologist before me, none of them broke that down for you. Prince of Pan-Africanism did that. August 23rd to 25th, 1971, Bilderberg meeting is held in Vermont. August 23rd, 1971, here we go with the blaxploitation movies. Here we go with the blaxploitation movies. Here we go with the blaxploitation movies to distract us from revolutionary action and get us interested in being pimps and whores. I'm going to say it again. Here we go with the blaxploitation movies, distracting us from revolutionary grassroots action and getting into being pimps and whores. Blaxploitation era, film era begins. Mario Van Peebles, rest in peace. Mario Van Peebles, the father. What's the father name? Mario is the son. Marvin, I forget. Van Peebles, Elder Van Peebles, releases the iconic Sweetback's Badass. Sweetback's Badass, the first blaxploitation movie. Sweetback's Badass, an action thriller written, produced, and directed by Van Peebles, who just joined the ancestors. Rest in peace to him. Condolences to the family. It grossed $15 million. Melvin Van Peebles. It grossed $15 million. It provided a masculine alpha male response to the acceptable Sidney Poitier roles, who could outsmart Whitey, but still manage to play up stereotypes of black male aggression, violence, and sexual promiscuity. More than 200 blaxploitation films would be released during the 1970s. I don't think y'all heard me. 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 More than 200 blaxploitation movies were released in the 1970s. You think that's a coincidence? Do you think that's a coincidence? Was it a coincidence that more than 200 blaxploitation movies would be released in the 1970s? Facebook. Was it a coincidence that more than 200 blaxploitation movies were released during the decade of the 1970s? They used television to get us off the streets from organizing for liberation. I'm going to say it again. They used television to get us off the streets from organizing. They used television to get us off the streets from organizing. And they used the blaxploitation movies. They used the blaxploitation movies to get us out of black consciousness and into being pimps and hoes. Let's continue, brothers and sisters. And guess what? White folks love the blaxploitation movies. White folks love the blaxploitation movies. White folks love the blaxploitation movies. June 18th, 1971. June 18th, 1971, President Richard Nixon declares a war on drugs. Remember the date, family. Remember the date, family. Remember the date, family. June 18th, 1971. Richard Nixon declares war on drugs, calling it public enemy number one. Remember the date, family. June 18th, 1971, Richard the Republican renegade retard reject Nixon declares war on drugs, calling it public enemy number one, introducing no-knock warrants. The no-knock warrant came from Richard Nixon. The no-knock warrant came from Richard Nixon. And the media would paint the drug addict as a black American and would change the narrative away from political repression due to black Americans' fight for justice to repression based on drug use for the public, based on drug use and drug sale. Listen to what I'm telling you. They used black movies to paint you, to change your image from a freedom fighter to a pimp and a whore. I'm going to say it again. They used the blaxploitation movies of the 1970s to recast black people away from civil rights activists, away from freedom fighters, to pimps and whores. And that Richard Nixon used the imagery of the blaxploitation movie. Richard Nixon used the imagery of the blaxploitation movie. Richard Nixon used the imagery of the blaxploitation movie to justify his war on drugs. Ouch. June 28th, 1971. Supreme Court reverses Muhammad Ali's decision. The Supreme Court reverses Muhammad Ali's conviction. He's now free to fight again. That's June 28th, 1971. August 21st, 1971, the 140th anniversary of the Nat Turner War and the 180th anniversary of the Haitian Revolution, 29-year-old George Jackson. August the 21st, 1971, George Jackson. August the 21st, my day, Nat Turner Day, Haitian Revolution Day, George Jackson Day, Black Jesus Day on August the 21st, 1971. The 140th anniversary of Nat Turner, the 180th anniversary of the Haitian Revolution, George Jackson, co-founder of the Black guerrilla family, brothers and sisters, is killed in prison during a liberation war at San Quentin. It remains a mystery as to how the gun being used made it into prison. Some believe George Jackson's assassination was a setup, but what we all know is that the co-founder of the Black guerrilla family, Soledad brother George Jackson, fought for the liberation of African people. August 21st, 1971. September the 9th, 1971, Attica prison riot in New York. Never forget the Attica prison riots. Never forget the Attica prison riots. Never forget the Attica prison riots. 1,200 prisoners out of 2,200 prisoners at Attica State Correctional Institute took control of the prison, taking 42 staff hostages. 29 prisoners would be killed by the police. 10 correctional officers would also be killed when Governor Nelson Rockefeller ordered state troopers to take the prison by force. They killed 29 prisoners, 10 correctional officers, and on Monday, September the 13th, 1971, at 9:46 in the morning, state troopers tear gassed the prison yard of Attica. Opened fire nonstop for 2 minutes, shooting into the smoke. Many non-resistors were shot and killed. Families received $8 million in lawsuit money in the year 2000. Rockefeller could have prevented the riot. All our brothers in Attica asked for was a meeting with the governor or the lieutenant governor. All the brothers at Attica wanted was a meeting with Governor Rockefeller. October 1971, Walt Disney World, Main Street, opens in Orlando. It would cost $400 million, bringing in 2.5 million visitors every year. Now we getting Disneyland. See? First they hit you with the blaxploitation. They gave you the Cosby Show. Now they're giving you Disneyland. I want you to see how they use distractions to keep us dumb, deaf, and blind. I want you to see how they use distractions to keep us dumb, deaf, and blind. I want you to see how they use distractions to keep us dumb, deaf, and blind, brothers and sisters. And right now, what's going on in Rikers Island? I hope Rikers Island ain't about to become another Attica. I hope Rikers Island in New York ain't about to become another Attica. I hope Rikers Island in New York is not about to become another Attica, because I'm hearing on the streets that the brothers in Rikers are getting sick and tired of the oppression, denial of privilege, the COVID restrictions. I fear that Rikers will become another Attica rebellion. Another Attica rebellion, brothers and sisters. I stand in solidarity with my brothers and sisters in Rikers. I stand in solidarity with the African family in Rikers Island, brothers and sisters. Berry Gordy didn't want to release the protest song by Marvin Gaye, What's Going On, 1971, Marvin Gaye releases What's Going On via Motown. Berry Gordy did not want to release the song because it was a protest song. He thought it would affect Marvin Gaye's career and affect Motown record sales, but it went on. It was the first album Marvin Gaye produced as a producer. Rolling Stone ranked it the #6 best album of all time. The same album that Berry Gordy did not want to release. The same year as the Attica riots, Marvin Gaye, What's Going On, was released same year as the Attica riots. Berry Gordy didn't want to release it, but Marvin Gaye told Berry Gordy, if you don't release my song, I will never record another album for Motown. Marvin Gaye told Berry Gordy, if you don't release my song, I will never make another album for Motown. Rolling Stone calls Marvin Gaye's What's Going On the 6th best album of all time. The songs included about drug abuse, poverty, Vietnam War, and they were told from the perspective of a Vietnam veteran. It went on to become double platinum in the first year alone. It became Marvin Gaye and Motown Records' best-selling album to date until Marvin released Let's Get It On. Let's Get It On in 1973. On April the 1st, 1984, Marvin Gaye was shot. On April the 1st, 1984, Marvin Gaye was shot in the heart by his father after intervening in a fight between his mother and father. It was one day before his 45th birthday. Marvin Gaye was shot and killed one day before his 45th birthday. He was the most conscious black artist in Motown history. Marvin Gaye was the most conscious black artist in Motown history. Also in 1971, Idi Amin of Uganda will overthrow Pan-Africanist president of Uganda, Milton Obote, and he would rule until he was overthrown himself in 1986. In 1971, the Controlled Substances Act was signed into law, creating 5 categories of drugs and strengthening prosecution and sentencing for drug possession. DEA 1973. Controlled Substances Act. Strengthen prosecution and sentencing for drug possession. So they're getting ready for the CIA to drop off the crack. They're getting ready for the CIA to drop off the crack in the 1980s. They're getting ready for the CIA to drop off the crack in the 1980s. 1971 was a big year, brothers and sisters. 1971, the gay focus panel at the American Psychological Association Convention. At the 1971 APA convention in D.C. demanded the removal of homosexuality from the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, 2nd edition. They demanded that homosexuality no longer be considered a mental illness. Also in 1971, the Congressional Black Caucus was established. In 1971, the Congressional Black Caucus was established. In 1971, the Congressional Black Caucus. Can somebody tell me what purpose does the Congressional Black Caucus serve? Let's see. 81, 91, 01, 11, and 21. The Congressional Black Caucus celebrated 50 years this year. The Congressional Black Caucus celebrated 50 years this year. Can somebody please tell me, after 50 years, can somebody please tell me, after 50 years, what has the Congressional Black Caucus done for Black America? I'm just asking a question. I'm just asking a question. I'm just asking a question. They were founded in 1971. It is now 2021. That is 50 years. Can somebody tell me what purpose has the Congressional Black Caucus served Black people? March the 8th, 1971, Muhammad Ali would fight Joe Frazier, fight of the century. Muhammad Ali loses to Philadelphia Joe Frazier. Muhammad Ali loses to Philadelphia's own Joe Frazier. The city of Philadelphia would give Rocky Balboa a statue, a fictitious character. Rocky Balboa gets a statue, but Joe Frazier, the real heavyweight champion of Philadelphia, never got a statue. Rocky Balboa, a fake character from a movie, gets a statue, but the real heavyweight boxing champion of Philadelphia, Joe Frazier, never gets a statue. 1971, New York Times exposes a leaked Pentagon paper showing that the United States secretly increased its involvement in the Vietnam War. Gay rights group formed by 1971, you have gay rights groups in most major cities. Dr. King is murdered in 68. 3 years later, there's a gay rights movement in every major city. Are y'all connecting the dots? Who hijacked the Black Civil Rights Movement? 1971, here we go. More tokens. More tokens. Samuel Gravely Jr. becomes the first Black admiral in the United States Navy. More tokenism. More tokenism. More tokenism. 1971, Samuel Gravely Jr. becomes the first Black admiral in the U.S. Navy. 1971 was a big year. Eldridge Cleaver was expelled from the Black Panther Party. Eldridge Cleaver, who many say helped get little Bobby Hutton assassinated, Eldridge Cleaver is expelled from the Black Panther Party. Also in 1971, more distractions. More distractions. More distractions. In 1971, Richard Pryor, Live and Smoking, is released. It is a stand-up comedy concert film produced in New York City. It would earn Richard Pryor a Grammy for Best Comedy Album. Richard Pryor would win the Grammy Award 5 times, 3 in a row. In 1974, Richard Pryor would win 2 American Academy of Honor Awards and the Writers Guild of America Award, and he would be listed as Comedy Central #1 greatest comedian of all time, Richard Pryor. Rolling Stone also lists Richard Pryor as the greatest comedian of all time. He wrote for Sanford and Son, The Flip Wilson Show, and Richard Pryor appeared in several iconic blaxploitation movies such as The Mac, Uptown Saturday Night, Car Wash, Lady Sings the Blues, and the first ever Muppet movie. He died of a heart attack December the 10th, 2005, at 65 years old. Rest in peace to Richard Pryor. January, more entertainment. I want y'all to see how the entertainment, and we support our entertainment, but I want y'all to see how the power structure use all this entertainment to distract you from the struggle. We didn't have no Bill Cosby show with Malcolm and King. We ain't have no Richard Pryor with Malcolm and King. We ain't have all that. See that? We ain't have no Muppet show. We ain't have none of that goofy stuff. They distracted us, and we are still distracted. They distracted us, and we are still distracted. January 14th, 1972, Red Fox stars in Sanford and Son for NBC Studios, one of the highest rated TV series in America at the time. Sanford and Son, starring Red Fox, ran from 1972 to 1976. Richard Pryor is identified by Red Fox as an influence on his choice to pursue comedy. Red Fox got his start in the 1950s, winning a Golden Globe Award and an Emmy nomination. He one of the first black comics to play to a white audience in Las Vegas. Red Fox died October 11, 1991. February 16, 1972, more token. Wilt Chamberlain becomes the first NBA player to score 30,000 points and 10,000 rebounds, I believe. Wilt Chamberlain becomes the first NBA player to score 30,000 points. Distraction, distraction, distraction. Making black folks think they making it through TV and sports. Got black folks think we getting equal through entertainment and athletics. March the 10th through the 12th, First National Black Political Convention is held in Gary, Indiana. 10,000 attend. It is considered the most significant black political convention in the post-Dr. King era. Gary, Indiana. I think it's time for another black political convention in Gary, Indiana. I think it's time for another black political convention in Gary, Indiana. I think it's time for another black political convention in Gary, Indiana. I mean, where Dennis at? Where Dennis and Phil at? Let's set up, because y'all know I want to do some black political conventions before the next presidential election. Y'all know DR.UMAR is planning some black political conventions. We need to bring back the black political convention in Gary, Indiana. Shout out to my Gary, Indiana Africans. Shout out to my Gary, Indiana Africans. I think we need to bring back the black political convention in Gary. April the 7th of 1972, Abeid Karume of Zanzibar, the first vice president of Tanzania, is assassinated. April the 21st, the Bilderberg meeting is in Belgium. May the 2nd of 1972, J. Edgar Hoover dies. May the 2nd, 1972, J. Edgar Hoover dies. May the 2nd, 1972, J. Edgar Hoover, who destroyed every major relevant black organization from Garvey to the Black Liberation Army, finally dies. May the 2nd, 1972. June 29th, 1972, the death penalty is banned in America, but only temporarily, because you know they needed to kill black folks. I told you abortion will never be illegal in this country as long as black folks are here. Abortion will never be illegal. The death penalty will never be illegal in America as long as black people are here. The death penalty will never be illegal in America as long as black folks are here. They banned the death penalty on June 29th, 1972, but they would bring it back. July 12th, 1972, the pocket calculator is introduced. September the 9th, 1972, Bill Cosby creates, produces, and hosts the first black animated TV show, Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids. September 9th, 1972, Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids. It ran for 13 years, all black cast. TV Guide named it the best cartoon series of the 1970s. October the 12th, 1972, Richard Pryor and Diana Ross would co-star in Lady Sings the Blues, earning $9 million in American movie rentals in 1973 and nominated for 5 Academy Awards. More tokens. October the 24th, 1972. Jackie Robinson, first black athlete to break into a major league, dies. October the 24th, 1972. October the 24th, 1972, Jackie Robinson, the first black athlete to break into the major leagues, dies. Bob Douglas becomes the first black elected to the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. More tokens, more tokens, more distractions. Bob Douglas becomes the first black elected into the Naismith Hall of Fame. And then, also in 1972, our brother Geronimo Pratt of the Black Panther Party, Geronimo Pratt of the Black Panther Party, is falsely convicted of murdering a woman on a tennis court. 27 years later, he is free with the assistance of Johnny Cochran. Geronimo Pratt was 350 miles away in the Bay Area when the murder occurred. He could not have possibly done it. The conviction was overturned on the most honorable Marcus Garvey's birthday, June the 10th, 1997, with the help of Johnny Cochran. After 27 years, Geronimo Pratt would go free on the birth date of the day that Marcus Garvey joined the ancestors. The day that Marcus Garvey joined the ancestors, June the 10th of 1997, when it was discovered that the prosecution illegally withheld evidence that may have influenced the jury. Johnny Cochran also helped Geronimo get $4.5 million suit. Los Angeles paid $2.75 million. The Department of Justice paid $1.75 million. Geronimo Pratt died in Tanzania, June 2nd, 2011, at the age of 65. Johnny Cochran died 4 years later in 2005 at the age of 67. Wait a minute. Maybe Geronimo, what year Geronimo died? I got to check the date. Johnny Cochran died right after Geronimo a few years later, working on a reparations package. I think they killed Geronimo and Johnny. I think they killed Geronimo Pratt and Johnny. They killed Geronimo Pratt because he was in Africa investing that $4.5 million. They killed Geronimo Pratt in Tanzania, just like they killed President John Magufuli in Tanzania. They killed Geronimo Pratt in Tanzania because he was investing that $4.5 million that Johnny Cochran helped him win. 1972, Richard Nixon creates the Office of Drug Abuse Law Enforcement. 1972, the only thing Richard Nixon gave black folks is more drug laws. The only thing Richard Nixon gave black folks was more drug laws. The only thing Richard Nixon gave black folks was more drug laws. So Geronimo died June 2nd, 2011. When did Johnny Cochran die? Geronimo died June 2nd, 2011. When did Johnny Cochran die? Johnny Cochran, March 29th, 2005. So Johnny Cochran died before Geronimo. Johnny Cochran died before Geronimo. Shirley Chisholm runs for president, becoming the first black woman to run for president of the United States, 1972. Tokenism, Barbara Jordan and Andrew Young become the first black Southern congresspersons since 1898. Token. Barbara Jordan and Andrew Young become the first black Southern congresspersons since 1898. What good has it done? Much respect to Andrew Young and Barbara Jordan. No disrespect. Much respect to Andy Young and Barbara Jordan. But it is still nothing but tokens. 1972, a gay psychiatrist testifies for the gay movement at the APA convention. Uganda Chief Justice is murdered. 1972, during the Olympics in Munich, Germany, Palestinians take 9 hostages, killing 2 Israeli athletes in exchange for the release of political prisoners. 1972, HBO cable television is introduced. You Negroes ain't been free since. 1972, HBO, cable television is introduced. You Negroes ain't turned off a TV yet. 1972, cable, HBO, introduced. You Negroes ain't turned off a TV yet. The Temptations and the Jackson 5 scored #1 hits. Papa was a Rolling Stone. 1972. And for the Jackson 5, it was Ben. Music. See how they distracted you with music, athletics, elected officials, first black this, first black that. Idi Amin expels all East Indians except the ones who are already citizens in 1972. When Idi Amin expelled the East Indians, that was one of the most unapologetically African moves by an African president ever. I know Idi Amin was not perfect, but when he told them Indians, if you don't want to hire my people, get out my country, that's the most unapologetically African thing a black leader in Africa has done in a long time. Idi Amin told the Indians, you will hire at least 2 Africans. You will hire 2 Ugandans. You will hire 2 Ugandans. And when they refused to hire those 2 Ugandans, Idi Amin said, what he gave them, 48 hours to get the hell out my country. That was unapologetically African. That was unapologetically African. Also in 1972, an Ethiopian famine kills 200,000 of our brothers and sisters in 2 years. Unfortunately, it would also help lead to the overthrow of His Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I. 1972, Title IX of the Educational Amendments prohibits sex discrimination in programs receiving federal funding. 1972, the Supreme Court upholds birth control for unmarried couples. 1972, the MOVE organization is founded in Philadelphia by John Africa. The MOVE organization is founded in Philadelphia by John Africa. Brothers and sisters, I'm going to stop. I got so much more. It's time for 1973. Y'all ready for 1973? Are y'all ready for 1973? Are y'all ready for 1973? Hit the Cash App, $FDMG School. Hit the Cash App, $FDMG School. Hit the Cash App, $FDMG School. Hit the PayPal, paypal.me/FDMG Academy. Hit the PayPal, paypal.me/FDMG Academy. Donate to your brother, $DrUmarJohnson. Make a personal contribution to your brother, $DrUmarJohnson. Make a personal contribution to your brother, $DrUmarJohnson. But always donate to FDMG first. Chattanooga, November 4. Atlanta, November 5. Possibly Columbus, Georgia, November 6. Capitol Heights, Maryland, November 10. Nat Turner, November the 11th. Norfolk, November 12th. Great Blacks in Wax, November 14. If you need to reach me, 215-989-9858, 215-989-9858, 215-989-9858. Peace and Pan-Africanism, brothers and sisters.